We need to take you live to the floor of the Senate, where at this very moment, the Senate is voting to break a filibuster on a partisan immigration and border security package. It needs a total of 60 votes in the Senate. We're monitoring the situation, but there are four that we've been talking about. The McCain-Coons DREAM Act plan did not pass. It failed. Then you have Senator Toomey's plan that would cut off federal money from sanctuary cities, the bipartisan Gang of 22 plan, and then the Grassley Four Pillars plan, which the president says he would sign. Let's bring in the chairman of the Democratic caucus and member of the House Ways and Means Committee, New York Democratic Congressman Joe Crowley. We wanted to also talk to you about infrastructure, sir, but let me just get you on this. I know it's the Senate that's voting and you're in the House, but what if they pass something that the president we already know is going to veto here?
Well, I think Paul Ryan has said if he won't bring a bill to the House floor that doesn't have the president's support. I think if you take Paul at his word, that's his bottom line. It would have to be something that the president would support to bring it to the House floor. We're working on completely different rules in the Senate.
Yeah, I understand that, and it's pretty interesting, except that it's pretty frustrating for a lot of people, I'm sure. Let me shift to infrastructure, where you've been watching this very closely, as have the American people who like this. And whether they're on one side of the aisle or not, all they've heard is that both Democrats and Republicans could get their shoulder behind infrastructure. Are you going to?
Well, I think that's a good question. I think what the president has proposed is really woefully lacking. It's $200 billion over a 10-year period. That roughly comes out to about $20 billion a year of investment, and that simply won't cut it. It also would put the onus on local governments to provide 80% of the share. At 20%, 80%, when traditionally it's been the opposite. 80% coming from the federal government, 20% from localities. That's the only way to really incentivize these big long-term projects. So I hope the president goes back to the drawing room and come up with a new plan, one that really will meet the needs of the American people, because we do need, Liz, to reinvest in America, to get these kind of jobs moving as well, to keep our economy churning, but to invest in America's infrastructure.
Well, the math isn't quite coming up right when it's $200 billion from the federal government, and then it's sort of wish upon a star for state and local governments and private business. I will say this. I've been studying up on this. The Association of American Civil Engineers they gave it the big eye roll, and they said, wait, we're $2 trillion in the hole. We need $2 trillion when it comes to what's needed for our roads and our bridges.
Right. In fact, the House plan that was rolled out last week calls for a minimum of $1 trillion directly from the federal government. That will incentivize much more. It would have a 20% cost share from localities, as well as work with, limitedly, but work with 3Ps, public-private partnerships. So I do think that's a much more robust plan. Although
the president said he would get behind, and he apparently said this in front of several senators, that he would get behind a 25-cent hike in the gasoline tax, which, by the way, has not been touched since 1991. Reagan raised it, George Bush Sr. raised it, and Bill Clinton was the last one to raise it, and back then it was up to 18.3 cents. Hasn't been touched in decades.
That'd be a mighty hike for a Republican president to try to get through. We could do an awful lot of infrastructure rebuilding if we had that.
So you like that idea?
I'm not so sure it's a realistic number, quite frankly. We've been much more modest in terms of the proposals that have come out of the Democratic side of the aisle. I do think we can raise the gas tax. I think we can be part of this. But to go 25%, that's a big jump. I think if a heavy sell himself
25 cents. Yeah, he said like a quarter per gallon.
Yeah.
Not to a quarter per gallon. Up a quarter, a 25-cent piece per gallon.
That would be a big hike. Yeah.
I am wondering, though, he says he's the deal maker in chief. What if he came to the Democrats and said, look, I know most of you guys are okay with this. I don't know about Californians because they have very high, and Hawaiians as well, the boutique fuels that they have to pay for. But would you work with the president on that if you saw he needed some real help on it?
I think the president has a tendency to say one thing and then do another, and I think that's been so far his M.O. So it's hard for Democrats to get behind anything he says at this point. We've seen this bait and switch before. I'm certainly open to wanting to hear what that's about, but so far the president's been very lackluster in terms of his proposals.
Congressman, before we go really quickly, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this piece on the front page of the New York Times earlier this week that says that even Democrats in the House are having trouble getting behind Nancy Pelosi, your leadership, after her long speech during immigration, 8 hours long, and that was in direct contrast to what Chuck Schumer, the senator from New York, was saying. Are you behind Nancy Pelosi?
I think the issue of immigration and DACA in particular is not only a moral issue, it's an economic issue for our country, and I think we have to find a solution. At the end of the day, if we don't pass a bill, it's not because of Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer, it's because of Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan. It'll be their legacy if a comprehensive bill is not passed to help these DACA souls.
Can I ask again, are you behind her on not just this issue, but all issues?
I think Nancy Pelosi is one of the most dynamic leaders our nation has ever seen. I think she's easily demonized. I think it's sexist, and people are getting tired of that. And so Nancy Pelosi is a leader, and she continues to lead this Democratic caucus.
All right. Thank you for answering the question. Congressman Joe Crowley, we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.